My first coffee shop, it cost 30 grand, but we didn't realize it was going to cost that much in the beginning. And so I think we thought that it was going to cost less. So we started building. I think we spent like 10 grand building out. It was very tiny. So maybe 10 grand or so building out the space. And then just over the course of maybe the first 6 months or so, we ended up spending 30 grand on like getting it all really up and running. And same thing with this was really traumatic, but with my bar, it started with an $80,000 investment to purchase the business, which wasn't even the full price. Half of it, or more than half, actually, the majority of it was seller financed. But I had to put 80K down. And I had that because of one of the properties that I owned. I was able to pull out equity from there and use that. So it started with 80, right? But then, oh my God, like over the course of the next year, I had to put over 200,000 into it. Welcome to the Audacious Founder podcast. I'm your host, Melissa Manning. This show is for the person who knows they're built for more. Welcome to your next level. Welcome to the Audacious Founder podcast. My name is Melissa Manning. I am your host, an audacious founder, and your expert in all things entrepreneurship. Today, I want to talk about the 3 questions that you need to get clear on for yourself. You need to ask yourself before making the decision to start a new business. And again, guys, I'm saying this even more to myself than to you, okay? Because like I've stated, serial entrepreneur. I am addicted to starting businesses every day. I'm like, ooh, I could do that. Ooh, I could do that. Oh, I could do that. And I have to literally like sit myself down in my mind and be like, okay, Melissa, go through some of these questions and really make sure that this is the right thing for you. But how do we do that? Right? It's in the moment, at least for me, I can see the potential of this idea. I can see how it could make a lot of money, how people would love it, how it would make my life better. I get a lot of adrenaline. Like it makes me very joyful and happy to think about these new ideas. But that doesn't necessarily mean it is the right thing for me to do at that moment because everything has a cost, right? The cost can be time, the cost can be energy. The cost could be money, of course. Is this thing going to be worth that time and energy? And that's actually one of the questions. Is the potential return on this business, on how much it would cost me, how much time it would take, how it would take me away from my child or my partner or take me away from dating, which is for me, like that's the trade-off. If I take on a new endeavor, that's going to fill up the little available space I already have in my calendar for finding a partner or hanging out with friends. Already, I constantly am saying no to things because I have meetings or I have to work on the podcast or whatever it is, right? So if I add in more stuff to that, that is then going to compromise other areas of my life. And you have to determine if that's worth it. And again, it's not just money, it's time and energy. I'm somebody who is always going, right? I'm always thinking, I'm doing something. I always like to be doing things, sometimes multiple things at the same time. I want to be, while I am working on social media content, I'm also watching a movie, or while I'm talking on the phone with somebody, I'm also doing dishes, and I think a lot of women are like this, where we can't be idle. And I could be stereotyping women in general, but like, I don't know. I just feel like I have to be, if I can be doing multiple things at once, I have to be as efficient as possible. And if I can be doing multiple things at once, I want to, because that just helps me create more space for the things that I want to be doing. So I really have to like sometimes sit down and talk myself out of adding more things to my plate. I have to actively be like, no, Melissa, rest is good. It is okay to have one day during the week where you sleep past 8 a.m. It is okay to have nothing on the schedule for an afternoon. It is okay to lay by the pool for an afternoon, right? I literally have to force myself to chill the F out because again, starting a business is like having a kid. It really is. You put your time, your sweat, your energy, your tears, you put everything into that thing and you want to see it grow and you want to see it succeed. It is very emotional. You need to make sure that all of that is worth it. Okay, another question to ask yourself. What are my long-term goals? This is something that constantly I'm having conversations with clients about regarding their finances because kind of same thing as me, we get distracted by the little carrots, right? We create and set these long-term goals, this vision. Okay, I want to buy 10 properties this year. I want to incorporate a new tax strategy into my plan. I want to get my trust set up for my legacy wealth, right? I want to get my primary home put into the trust, whatever the goals are, right? They set them. And then let's say 3 months later, they invest in some kind of a syndication or some kind of investment that's not going to give them any payout for 6 months. And I'm like, well, Bobby, I thought you said you wanted to buy 10 properties. Why did you just put 200 grand into a syndication? Is that helping you to buy those 10 properties? That syndication only lasts for 5 years. Is that helping you build the generational wealth that you said you wanted to create? No. Right. So I might have said this on a podcast before, but there was a point where I was building Audacious Founder, but of course it's not going as fast as I want it to because I have no patience, which is also my weakness and also my superpower. So don't forget that, guys. One of my superpowers. I have many. I made the decision. I was going to go back to school, get a master's in women's studies and sexuality and gender studies. I was a little bit nervous to go into my meeting with my money coach because I knew there was just something in me that knew he was going to talk me out of it. And I didn't want to be talked out of it. I wanted to do it. And so he said, okay, he was very calm about it. I was actually expecting like some kind of an eye roll or something, but he was very calm about it. And he was just like, okay, well, he was like, do you need this degree? Because I was going to end up paying probably more than 30 grand to go back to school in an online program to get a master's degree in this thing. He was like, do you need this degree to reach your goals? Goals are about real estate, right? My goals are about building Audacious Founder. Is me going back to school and spending all this money and creating more debt for myself, is that going to help me reach these goals? Sigh, heavy sigh. And my answer was no. So in fact, both of us talked me out of going back to school for this. And look, it's not that school is a negative thing, right? But again, it's going to take time and energy away from other areas of my life, my child, my work with TARDIS, my work with Audacious Founder. It's going to take time and energy away from that. And is it going to help me reach my goals of having tons of real estate and building? No, it's not. It's not. Is it something that I enjoy? Yes. So is it something like that topic, gender studies and sexuality? Is it something that I should incorporate into my calendar so that I can enjoy that and have time for that? Absolutely. But should I go back to school? Does it align with my goals? No. Hey guys, here's what most people do when they want to build wealth. They download another freebie, they try to piece together random advice from TikTok and YouTube and end up stuck, overwhelmed, inconsistent, and spinning their wheels. But that is not how you create true freedom. If you're ready for something smarter, deeper, and actually aligned with your life, book an Audacious Wealth breakthrough call with me. This is not cookie cutter coaching. This is where we look at your gifts, your vision, and your numbers. And we build a bold, personalized blueprint to help you turn your income into impact, your time into freedom, and your ideas into legacy. You've done the DIY hustle. Now it's time for strategy that fits like it was made for you because it was. Spots are limited, so head to the show notes and claim yours now. So again, same thing. Like last episode, I was talking about me starting an at-home bakery. Does this align with my ultimate goals? No, it does not. It does not. Is it going to create more work for me on a daily basis? Because I would have to make these things fresh in the morning. It's going to compromise my time, my energy. Am I going to make tons of money off this? Probably not. Damn it, I'm talking myself out of the home bakery business. What I noticed in myself was I was really excited about this idea because I was like, I could do this. Like, it doesn't have a big overhead. I could start slowly. I could do it from home. So I was very excited about the positives, but what I wasn't doing was looking at it very logically and realistically, because realistically, what this would look like is me waking up at 3, 4 in the morning to bake so that by 6 o'clock or by 5 o'clock, I can get in the car and go drive these cakes to these cafes so that by 6 a.m. or even maybe earlier than that, by 6 a.m. they have that product to sell to their customers fresh. Dang. And even as I'm saying it out loud now, I'm like, hells no. When am I going to sleep? When am I going to sleep? I now have a preteen who doesn't go to bed until midnight that I got to like make sure she actually goes to sleep because she'll stay watching YouTube videos until midnight every night if I don't keep tabs on her. So when am I going to sleep? I can't go to bed early because of that one. When am I going to sleep? No way. I can't do that. All right. So through giving these ideas to you, I have now come to a logical decision that an at-home bakery is just not a thing that's going to happen right now, or maybe ever, but definitely not right now. Okay. And then the third question is, do I have or can I acquire the resources, skills, and support needed to make this successful? I think this is a good question to ask yourself because I think it creates that jumping off point. If your answer is like immediately no, then the next logical question is, what would I need to acquire these resources, right? Like what is missing for me now that would allow me to have access to these resources? But I also kind of disagree with this question because I think depending on what kind of business you want to start, you can start it with almost nothing, right? Like I buy flour anyway. Okay, it's like what, a couple bucks in apples and right? Like I don't need a lot of money to start this, which is actually, I'm lying to myself a little bit, right? Because if I got even a couple clients or customers for the baking business, I'd have to like spend some money, hundreds of dollars, maybe thousands of dollars on some more materials or supplies. But oftentimes I think we overestimate our ability to acquire or to come up with or to be resourceful around finding what we need to start this thing. My first coffee shop, it cost 30 grand, but we didn't realize it was going to cost that much in the beginning. And so I think we thought that it was going to cost less. So we started building. I think we spent like 10 grand building out. It was very tiny. So maybe 10 grand or so building out the space. And then just over the course of maybe the first 6 months or so, we ended up spending 30 grand on like getting it all really up and running. And we somehow came up with the money. And same thing with this was really traumatic, but with my bar, it started with an $80,000 investment to purchase the business, which wasn't even the full price. Half of it, or more than half, actually, the majority of it was seller financed. But I had to put 80K down. And I had that because of one of the properties that I owned. I was able to pull out equity from there and use that. So it started with 80, right? But then, oh my God, like over the course of the next year, I had to put over 200,000 into it. And I somehow came up with that money, which I wouldn't recommend you to do it like this because it was very traumatic and very like panic inducing on many an occasion. So I would encourage you to have that cash for operating expenses for the year set aside already if you can. But I guess what my point is that we underestimate our ability to acquire these resources. And so I don't want you to do that, but I do think that this is a good question to kind of bring you back to reality. Like, okay, yeah, no, I have the flour in my cabinet. Like I can just start this baking business now. But no, actually 2 weeks in, 3 weeks in, a month in, I'm going to have to spend 600 bucks on this. I'm going to have to buy this. I'm going to have to do that, right? I have to hire a delivery person, whatever it is. We underestimate how much it will cost and we underestimate our ability to find the resources. So, but ask yourself that so that again, you can be brought back to what is logical, what is realistic. And again, if the idea of sourcing the logical amount of money, of resources that you would need to do this, or of hiring that team to make this possible, then maybe now is not the right time. Or you need to talk to a coach if you've decided this is a non-negotiable that you're going to start, but you're feeling very overwhelmed by what this is going to entail. You need to get a coach. It's going to save you time, energy, money if you get a coach. Okay, those 3 questions. Is the potential return on this investment, is it worth the risks and sacrifices? Is it worth what I would have to compromise in order to make this successful? Truly, ask yourself, be honest with yourself. The next one is, does this business align with the goals that I have already set for myself? Or is this a distraction? Melissa, is this a distraction? The third one, do I have already Or can I acquire the resources, skills, and support needed to make this successful? How many people would I have to hire? Would I have to hire a professional baker? Would I have to hire a delivery guy? What does that cost? Can I do the deliveries myself? What does it look like to make this work and make me not go insane? Okay. I hope this was helpful for you. I hope it definitely created some insight for me. Probably not going to do the baking business yet, but I hope this allows you to get more clear on whether moving forward with this business is a good idea for you or maybe something that we hold off on for now. Okay, guys. Have a great day. I will see you in the next episode. Well, that's a wrap on today's episode of the Audacious Founder podcast, Being Bold in Business. If this sparked something in you, if it made you think bigger, dream louder, or take one bold step forward, then don't let it stop here. The real transformation, that happens off the feed. Head to the show notes and drop your name on our email list because our community gets the unfiltered tools, strategies, and stories that I don't share anywhere else. Audacious moves only. I'll see you in your inbox.